Welcome back to our Bible Summary series. Today, we explore the Book of Ruth, a short but deeply beautiful story about loyalty, kindness, and God's quiet, unfolding providence. While Judges showed us a time of chaos and moral darkness, Ruth shines like a light in the middle of that darkness. This book reminds us that even in seasons of loss and uncertainty, God is working behind the scenes in ways we cannot see. Ruth is a story of ordinary people whose simple acts of faithfulness change the course of history. It shows us that God works not only through mighty miracles, but also through love, compassion, integrity, and everyday obedience. Let's walk through this touching and hope-filled book together. Background and context. The Book of Ruth is the 8th book of the Bible and one of the historical books. It takes place during the time of the Judges, a period marked by instability. Yet the tone of Ruth is completely different, calm, tender, and full of divine care. Key background points. Ruth is one of only 2 books in the Bible named after a woman. The other is Esther. She is a Moabite, a foreigner, showing that God welcomes outsiders into his plan. The book highlights family loyalty, redemption, and God's sovereignty through ordinary events. The structure is simple and elegant. 1. Tragedy and loss, chapter 1. 2. Ruth's loyalty and first encounter with Boaz, chapter 2. 3. Ruth's bold request and Boaz's promise, chapter 3. 4. Redemption, marriage, and the lineage of David, chapter 4. At just 4 chapters, Ruth is small, but the impact is enormous, leading directly to King David and ultimately to Jesus. Section 1. Tragedy in Moab, Ruth 1. The story begins with famine. A man named Elimelech leaves Bethlehem with his wife Naomi and their 2 sons to live in Moab. There, the sons marry Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. Then tragedy strikes. Elimelech dies. Both sons die. Naomi is left with no husband, no sons, and no security. This is one of the lowest positions a woman could be in during ancient times. Hearing that God has provided food back in Bethlehem, Naomi decides to return home. She urges her daughters-in-law to stay in Moab. Orpah reluctantly agrees, but Ruth refuses to leave Naomi. Ruth speaks one of the most famous declarations of loyalty in the Bible. "Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." This moment reveals Ruth's heart, her devotion, her sacrifice, her willingness to leave everything, her faith in Naomi's God. Ruth's choice is a turning point, not only for her, but for the future of Israel. Naomi and Ruth return to Bethlehem just as the barley harvest begins, hinting that God is about to bring new life from their grief. Section 2. Ruth meets Boaz, Ruth 2. Ruth takes the initiative to gather leftover grain in the fields, an ancient provision for the poor. The Bible says she happens to end up in the field of Boaz, a wealthy and respected man who is part of Naomi's extended family. But this happening is no accident. God is guiding the story. Boaz notices Ruth and shows her unusual kindness. He protects her from harm. He ensures she gathers plenty of grain. He invites her to eat with his workers. Boaz praises Ruth for her loyalty to Naomi and says, "May the Lord reward you, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Through Boaz's generosity, God provides for Naomi and Ruth. When Ruth returns home with an abundance of grain, Naomi realizes something significant. Boaz is a kinsman redeemer, a relative who can restore their family line. Hope begins to rise. Section 3. Ruth's bold request and Boaz's promise. Ruth 3. Naomi encourages Ruth to seek Boaz as a potential redeemer. Ruth goes to the threshing floor at night, a culturally appropriate but important moment, and asks Boaz to spread his garment over her, a symbolic request for protection, marriage, and redemption. Boaz responds not with scandal, but with honor. He blesses Ruth. He praises her character. He promises to redeem her if legally possible. There is one complication. Another relative is closer in line to redeem the family. Still, Boaz assures Ruth that he will resolve the matter. This chapter highlights Ruth's courage, Boaz's integrity, God's timing. Boaz sends Ruth home with grain, another token of his commitment. Section 4. Redemption and Restoration. Ruth 4. At the city gate, Boaz meets the closer relative and explains the responsibilities of redemption. The man declines, so Boaz publicly agrees to redeem Naomi's land and marry Ruth. The community blesses them, saying Ruth will be like Rachel and Leah, the mothers of Israel. Ruth and Boaz marry, and God blesses them with a son named Obed. The women of Bethlehem tell Naomi, "Your daughter-in-law, who loves you, is better to you than 7 sons." Naomi, who returned home empty, now holds a newborn grandson. God turns her bitterness into joy. The book concludes with a genealogy: Obed, Jesse, King David. This means Ruth, a foreign widow, is part of the royal line leading to Jesus himself. A small story becomes part of the greatest story ever told. Key themes. 1. God's providence. God works through ordinary events, harvests, daily labor, simple decisions. 2. Loyalty and love. Ruth's commitment shows the power of selfless love. 3. Redemption. Boaz's role points forward to Christ, our ultimate Redeemer. 4. Inclusion of outsiders. Ruth, a foreigner, is fully welcomed into God's family. 5. Hope from suffering. Naomi's journey moves from grief, healing, restoration. 6. Legacy. Small acts of faithfulness shape future generations. Important characters: Ruth, loyal, courageous, devoted follower of God. Naomi, grieving widow restored by God's kindness. Boaz, honorable redeemer, symbol of Christ. Obed, child of promise, grandfather of King David. Life. Lessons and application. Ruth teaches us that God is working even when we cannot see him. Loving others with loyalty and humility reflects God's heart. No one is too far outside for God to welcome in. Integrity attracts blessing. God can turn tragedy into triumph. Our small, faithful choices have eternal impact. Ruth invites us to trust God's quiet work, love boldly, and walk faithfully through every season. Key verse in closing. Ruth 1:16. Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. This verse captures the heart of the book: covenant love, brave loyalty, and faith that changes destinies. Thank you for joining this journey through the Book of Ruth. If this video helped you understand the story more clearly, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who might enjoy it, and leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what stood out to you. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our next episode as we enter the book of 1 Samuel, a powerful story of transition, calling, and God's unfolding plan. See you in the next episode.